Good morning to all. Welcome to another session of this video lesson class. In this session, we will discuss about the Davison and Germer experiment, which is meant for the experimental evidence for the existence of matter waves. This itself indicates that this is a very significant experiment because the concept of matter waves is a revolutionary concept. It is a very significant concept. It is a very important concept for the great development of atomic physics, nuclear physics, and particle physics. This concept says that matter behaves like radiation. It means that matter is also having dual nature. It means that materialistic particles will act as particles as well as waves. This great concept was introduced by de Broglie in 1924, and this needs an experimental evidence for our confidence of our belief. We will believe the existence of matter waves only if it is supported by experiments. Experimental evidence is very much needed. Then only the science group of people will believe the concepts, theoretical concepts that are proposed. Therefore, no doubt, the existence of matter waves was experimentally proved by so many scientists, in which the first and foremost experiment which gives the evidence for the existence of matter waves was done by Davison and Germer experiment. Therefore, this remains as one of the historical milestones in the modern physics, which gives the evidence for the existence of matter waves. Right. The thing is, we will believe the existence of matter waves, that is, behavior of particles like waves, only if the particles exhibits wave properties like interference and diffraction, then only we will say that matter waves or the existence of matter waves is okay. Therefore, very clearly, the experimental evidence for matter waves has to provide the wave behavior like interference and diffraction. Right. In the same sense, Davison and Germer conducted an experiment and proved that a beam of electrons moving with high velocities can produce diffraction phenomena. In the year 1927, with their experimental setup, they produced the diffractional phenomena exhibited by the electrons. Therefore, this experiment is very significant one, which gives the experimental evidence for the existence of matter waves. Right. Diffraction phenomena means what we need is, yes, an electron beam is taken, an electron beam is produced, and this electron beam, if it produces diffraction phenomena, the diffraction pattern means there may be a maximum intensity region followed by minimum intensity region and then again maximum and minimum in a definite pattern. then only we will say that this is the diffraction pattern. Okay, the same is explained and shown by the Davison and Germer in their experiment. They used a beam of electron beam, and they allowed this beam of electron beam towards a nickel target. The nickel target reflects the electron beam in different directions. He measured the intensity of reflected beam in different directions, and he found that the reflected beam of electron from the target produced maximum intensity at a particular region, then minimum intensity region, followed by maximum minimum. Okay, therefore this is directly proved the existence of matter waves with this experiment. That's why this is most important experiment in the history of modern physics. This is the essence of the Davison and Germer experiment. The experimental setup consists of, as I am showing to you, three important parts: electron gun, target, and electron detector, which is nothing but a sensitive electrometer. The schematic diagram is just, it is on the screen. This one is the electron gun. Electron gun means this particular device can able to produce a beam of fine electrons which are accelerating with electrical field towards the target. This is the filament supported by a battery. Therefore, by means of thermoelectric effect, thermionic emission, not thermoelectric effect, thermionic emission, electrons will release here. These electrons are accelerated by means of an external battery connected between the one end of the filament and the slits. Through these two slits, a fine beam of electrons are accelerated towards the target. This is the target. Generally, Davison and Germer selected a nickel plate, a small nickel plate as the target. Target is mounted on this particular region by means of some support and a handle. It means that we can able to move this target towards the beam or away from the beam in order to fix it at a definite position. The surface of the target is perpendicular to the incident beam. The target is covered by some shield, and this shield is surrounded by a jacket of water which will circulate in order to reduce the temperature. This is the second part. The third one is a sensitive, I said that electron detector, a sensitive electrometer. This is a sensitive electrometer in the form of Faraday cylinder. This consists of a gas, and of course the reflected beam of electrons, when entered into this chamber, they will ionize the gas and they will produce the current. The intensity of the reflected beam will be measured in terms of the ionization current produced by the Faraday cylinder, and of course this Faraday cylinder can able to move in a semicircular path from 20 degrees to 90 degrees in order to detect the reflected beam at different positions. Okay, that's why the whole thing is about the experimental setup made by the Davison and Germer. Right. All these things are separately discussed here about the electron gun, target, and sensitive electrometer, as I discussed just now. Now the theoretical part. In the original experimental procedure, first Davison and Germer conducted this experiment with the above experimental setup, and they measured the intensities of the reflected beam by placing the Faraday cylinder or this sensitive detector at different positions, and they found that all the beams are having the same intensity. No variation was found. Then these two scientists did one thing. They baked the nickel crystal and conducted the same experiment. When the nickel crystal is baked at high temperatures, the crystal structure is automatically set into a proper way, and they thought that this may help to their experiment. Therefore, after baking the nickel plate, they again conducted the same experiment, okay, by allowing the electron beam in order to incident on the target perpendicularly. Okay. In this stage, they clearly found that at different angles of a reflected beam, the intensities are different. Depends upon the potential that is applied for the electron beam to accelerate towards the target. Here, they measure the intensities of the reflected beam by placing the sensitive meter at different positions, okay, by applying certain potential, and they varied the potential also, and with this series of stages of experiments, okay, this is the result. This is one of the example for the result in which on x-axis theta is taken. Theta is the angle of reflection, okay, and I is the intensity in terms of the electrical current, and they applied different electrical potentials: 44, 48, 54, 58, 62. Not likewise, actually they applied the electrical potential from one value to the other value continuously, okay. But for the sake of our understanding, okay, these values are conveniently shown here: 44 volts, 48 volts, because at these stages some evidences, apparent evidences are observed. That's why 44 volts, 48 volts, 54 volts, 58 volts, and 62 volts. Right. At 44 volts, the graph between intensity and angle is as shown here, and when the potential is 48 volts, there is a small bump which indicates increase of intensity at this direction, and at 54 volts the bump is maximum, and here the angle is 50 degrees. The angle is 50 degrees. It means that at 50 degrees of reflected beam, when it is accelerated with 54 volts, the bump is maximum. The bump is very clear, which indicates the intensity of that particular reflected beam of electron is maximum. Later bump decreases. It means that at this particular stage only the intensity is maximum. Before this stage, intensity is not so, it is less, and in this direction also it is less. Therefore, at this position intensity is maximum. Below this one, before this position intensity is minimum. After this position also intensity is minimum. The same thing is conducted at different two angles, and ultimately they found that okay, this is a small example. This is a small region of example. Okay, for a large region of example, for a large region of experiment, he found that the intensity of the reflected beam is maximum at a particular position, and then minimum, again maximum, minimum, maximum. This shows itself the existence of wave nature with the electron beam. Therefore, this is the first experimental evidence for the existence of wave nature to the materialistic particles conducted by this uh, Davison and German. Another important thing as far as this particular experiment is, they calculated the de Broglie wavelength associated with this electrons, with the electrons they used in this experiment by means of two different ways. One is from the experimental data, the other one is from the theoretical data. These two, by means of these two calculations, so they calculated the wavelength of the electron beam and they found that these two calculations are well coincident each other. Okay, it means that this calculation also proved the existence of matter waves with a great extent, with an excellent extent. Okay, right. That we will see that calculation also. That is, as far as this calculation is concerned, we know that de Broglie wavelength lambda is equal to h by root of 2m eV in case of charged particles or like electrons. After substitution of h value and mass of the electron, charge of the electron, and after simplification, this will simply resolves into lambda is equal to 12.26, around 12.26 angstrom units by root V, where V is the accelerating potential of the electron in the experiment. Okay, at what potential just we observe the maximum intensity, that is about 54 volts. When we substituted this one, okay, they obtained the value of 1.66 angstrom units as the wavelength of the matter waves. Right. The same de Broglie wavelength they calculated by means of the experimental data. They used nickel crystal, you know. In case of nickel crystal, lattice spacing, that is the interplanar distance, is 0.91 angstrom units. Okay, right. The angle of deflection is about 65 degrees. Therefore, once if you use the 2d sin theta is equal to n lambda, theta is the glancing angle. Therefore, in order to calculate the glancing angle, that is 2i is equal to, we know that 180 minus 50 degrees, because here in the experiment at 50 degrees we got the maximum value. Therefore, 180 is the total angle, and 180 minus 50 is equal to 130 by 2, that is 65 degrees. Therefore, we are supposed to substitute theta is equal to 65, and the order of the diffraction is 1. Therefore, lambda is equal to, now it will become 2d sin theta is equal to n lambda. Now it becomes lambda is equal to 2d sin theta. Therefore, 2 into the value this one, sin 65 degrees. Therefore, after substitution, the value of wavelength associated with this electrons is 1.65 at this potential. What is this potential? 54 volts. Okay, right. This is the experimental. This is the value obtained from the experimental data, and 1.66 is the value obtained from the theoretical data. Okay, 1.66 and 1.65. There is a great and well coincidence between these two values, because the value is in angstrom units. Okay, angstrom unit means 10 to the power of minus 10 meters. Therefore, these two values, the well coincidence of these two values again prove the existence of matter waves associated with moving electrons. That's why this is the most successful experiment. This is the most successful experiment in the history of modern physics, which proved the existence of matter waves. Okay, matter waves very uh, very close to the discovery, that is in 1924 it was proposed. In 1927 itself, this is the first experiment which proved the existence of matter waves. Okay, right. Therefore, matter waves are there. It means that materialistic particles behaves like waves in some cases and behaves like particles in some other cases. On the other hand, particles have dual nature. Okay, in order to explain certain phenomena, it needs wave nature of the particles, and in order to explain some other phenomena, it needs the particle nature. Okay, thus the existence of microwaves are well proved by the Davison and Germer experiment. Thank you.